Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel today. In this video, I wanted to show you how I find training videos that I then use for inspiration to record my own on YouTube, okay? And this is completely automated. You can scrape any category or any niche that you want. It basically works off keywords. And like I said, there's literally nothing else to it, right? The only input that you're gonna have to do in this automation is to put in the actual keywords that you want to search for. Okay, so before I get started, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and let's get started. As you can see, I'm inside of Make.com, and I decided to build this automation inside of Make as opposed to NA10. And the way it works is that basically there's two separate automations. The second one is kind of optional, but I think it's a good idea if you're going to use this system to basically work with, people who create your scripts, or if you've got video editors, that kind of stuff, right? Like if it's a collaborative effort, then it's going to be of great value to you. Okay, so this is the first part of the automation. And what this does, this scrapes YouTube. Okay, so it's going to use the YouTube API as opposed to the API scraping that I normally do. And there's a lot of benefits to that. I'll show you why, right? So we're going to search for videos. And for this example, I'm using keywords, okay? Then it's going to pass the JSON. It needs to iterate, and I'll show you why. And then we need to get the video ID, okay? Because the next part is we're gonna need the video stats. Okay, so I'm gonna do another API call, but this time I just want the video stats. So that's the views, the likes, and the comments, okay? Again, I'm gonna pass the JSON, and then I'm gonna save everything into Airtable. So this is the Airtable setup. You can see that I've got a title, I've got a thumbnail, so I wanna see this. So imagine a collaborative system, okay, where you've got, you can scrape as many records as you want. Right now, there is a caveat to that because you are using the YouTube API, okay? So just be careful with rate limits. Like for example, you can't just scrape hundreds of thousands of videos every single hour, for example, because you're just going to get banned. Okay, so a better situation is you do something like 100 a day or something like that, right? And you don't need that many, right? If you are going to sort by number of views and when it's published and that kind of stuff, you don't actually need that many videos. Okay, so you can see that I've got a thumbnail, the image, I've got the URL for the thumbnail, and you'll see why in the second part of the automation. Okay, I've got a channel URL, I've got a description of the video, and this is the most important part for me because I like to sort by videos that have been published recently but that have the highest number of views, okay? Because then I know that they've done something correct, right? They've cracked the algorithm. And that's gonna be with the title, that's gonna be the thumbnail, and most importantly, the content, right? The content has to be engaging. Like you can't have like really rubbish content and expect your title and your thumbnail to do all the heavy lifting for you, okay? It doesn't work like that. So I actually sort this by views. And you can see here, I've got 10, and I've unlimited to 10 because I'm recording video, okay? But you can set this to however much you want to scrape. So let me just delete these, and I'm going to run the automation live on the video. So let's head over back here, and then I'm just going to run this, okay? So you're going to see it's pulling the search videos, it's passed it, it's iterated, it's grabbed the video ID, and then it's done another API call where it's going to grab the video stats. It's passed the JSON again, and then it saved everything into Airtable. So if I go inside of Airtable, you can see here, it's pulled everything again, okay? The second part of the automation is going to use AI, and it's going to review the data that's inside of your Airtable, okay? And so what this can do is it can describe the thumbnail, and it can actually create some viral hooks and subtitles. And I'm outputting this onto Slack so you can see this, but if you're working like in a collaboration with like designers, people who write transcripts and stuff, you can do this on like Google Docs. You can also do it in Slack. I think Slack is a great, comms channel. It's certainly where I do all my communications with clients and, my employees. So I use Slack for this. Or you can put it on Google Docs. You can even email it to, like a designer or something, like a thumbnail designer. So that's how it works. I'm gonna run this for you now, and I'll show you the output inside of Slack. Okay, so let's just wait for this to run. It's going to grab the data from Airtable. The first module here is a vision module inside of ChatGPT. The second one is just a completion, and it's going to review everything that's come off this module here, and it's going to basically create viral hooks and titles. And you can see here that it's actually posting it into Slack. So let me just bring up the Slack channel, and you can see here, this is it. So let me go to the top. You've got the first one is the first row inside of Airtable, and it's basically got the title, it's got a thumbnail, it's got the URL here, it's got some descriptions, and then it's got the ideas for your video, and it's got the hooks, all that, and it's even got the actual thumbnail here. Okay, so you can see that's a great way to do this. It's completely automated. And this is exactly how I do it, right? If I want to find ideas, if I want to look for videos that are certainly, viral in a very short space of time, right? Because there's no point going back like a year or so, or like even 6 months, especially on something like YouTube, especially in this industry, right? But this system works for any industry. You can put any keyword in here, and it will bring, it will scrape viral videos. Okay, let's build these automations together. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need is a HTTP module, because we're gonna make a request. Okay, we're gonna make an API call, and you just want to click inside of here, and it's basically this one here, make a request. Okay, and we're gonna need a URL. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the original, which is this module here, and I'm gonna grab this URL. I'm gonna show and explain to you how it works. Okay, so paste this URL here. So basically this is the Google API, right? This is the API call for the YouTube API. Okay, and there's a couple of bits and pieces in here. Okay, the first one is this part here. So this is the keywords, okay, where it says Q equals, and you can put anything you want in here, and this could be any industry, any niche, it doesn't matter, right? I've just put this in here for my videos because this is what I do, right? But you can put anything in here. The second part is the type is video, and I've also done the region code is US, okay, and I've also done language and relevance, which is this part here, to be English, okay, because when I was initially testing this, I was getting a lot of results that weren't in the English language, which is obviously no good to me, because I want to replicate successful videos in the English language because that's my native language. Okay, so that's why I've done it that way. But again, you can just edit this value here to whatever language you want. And then for video duration, I'm selecting long form content, okay, because on this channel, if you follow me, you know that I only do long form content. Eventually I will, repurpose it and turn it into shorts and stuff, but for the time being, it's fine as long form, okay, because I only want the long form content, which is videos like this. And then this here is my API key, and obviously I'll change this once this video is done. But to get this, you need to head over to your Google Cloud account, okay, and you should come to this page here. If you haven't done it before, there should be a button here to say basically create project, right? If you've done it before, just click inside of here, and you can click on create a new project, okay? So just do that, and you can call it whatever you want. I've just called it YT Scraper. Okay, and then we're just gonna go inside of this. And then once you've done that, you wanna go to APIs and services, okay? And then you wanna click on credentials, okay? And then you can click on create credentials here. And the one that you want is API key. Okay, so I've already done that. You can see that here, that's this one here. And then for everything else, you can just leave it as blank, okay? There is one more thing one more step that you need to do. So you want to find the YouTube API, because if you just type in YouTube, it should bring it up. And it's this one here, okay? The YouTube Data API version 3. Click on this. And I've already done this, so it's already installed, right? But you basically said there'll be an option here to, I think it's something like install or enable, and just press that, okay? And then once it's done, you'll see this API enabled, and that basically then allows you to run the API inside of Make. Again, it will let you run this, okay? Everything else stays the same, so you can leave that as it is. And then we're just gonna click on save. And then remember to rename this, so I'm just gonna do search keywords or search videos. Let's just do search videos. I think that's what I called it on the original one. Yeah, I did. Okay, and that's the first module. The second module you want is the JSON module, because the output, it's gonna be in JSON. Okay, the data that it comes out, the payload, you can see here, when I run it, this is all JSON, right? So we need some way to pass that. And that just means that we can use that data, we can manipulate it and use it later down the flow, okay? So for that, you just want where is it? It's not here, it's a function. So let's just do JSON, and it's a built-in function, and then you just want the pass JSON module here, okay? And for this, you're gonna grab the data. Now remember to run this, okay? So I've already ran this. Remember to run the modules, and you're gonna get something like this, okay? So you just wanna grab the data, which is exactly the way I've done it on this one, okay? Then the next module you're gonna want is the iterator. And the reason for that is because if you look at the output, right? If I go into items, it's an array, right? So I've done it as 10. Actually, before I move on, let me just show you something quickly. So the max results, I've set it 10, right? Which is why I've got 10 results inside of Airtable, okay? If you wanted like 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, then you change this value here, okay? Now bear in mind what I said at the start of the video, there are rate limits. You're using the public API, so don't abuse it, okay? So let's head over back to this one. This is actually an array, so we need some way to bring it all together, and that's what the iterator will do, okay? So I'm gonna go back into the build. Let's just get the iterator, which is this one here. And then for that, you're just gonna want the items, right? Because it's gonna output a few things. So we want the items, okay? So I haven't run it here because I want to save the operations, right? But you want to get the items from the JSON module and then put it through to this module here, okay? And then there's a set variable module, okay? And the reason for that is because I need to take, if I go inside of the original one that I ran, right? I need this ID, right? I need this video ID, right? Because every video has a unique video ID, okay? As you can see here, this is the first video. If I go to bundle 2, this is the second video. You'll see that the video IDs are unique, okay? So I need this video ID. And so for what I'm doing is basically I've created a variable called video ID, right? And I'm just taking the value from the variable, from the iterator module, right? Which is just ID, okay? And you'll see why in a second. So let's just head over to here and we're gonna do a set variable and then just call it video ID. And then remember, you're just gonna get the ID, which is, go back to the original, which is this one here. I'm just gonna copy this, right? It's black because I haven't run it, but you get the idea, right? So this one is gonna be set variables. We're gonna rename that to, actually, what did I call it in the original? Let's just keep it consistent. Yeah, get video ID. So I'm gonna call it get video ID, and the variable name is just gonna be video ID. And then remember what we said, it's just ID. I think it was 7 ID, something like that. Okay. Let's save that, and then I'm just gonna rename this to get video ID. And you'll see why I need a video ID. Okay, so we've done the first 4 modules, super straightforward. There's nothing that difficult about this, okay? Now, if I go back to the original, I'm doing a second API call. And the reason for that is, let me just align this, is that in this URL, right, there's no way, and I've not really looked into this in depth. There might be, I don't know. But I've not had a look into the YouTube API documentation. I've not spent that much time in it, right? So the problem I've had, and I don't know if it's possible, it might be, is that I cannot do the snippets, right? Which is the social data. So I want the views, I want the likes and the comments, right? I can't build that into the URL endpoint and tie in with all of this, right? So the keyword search, the language, the region, the video duration, and all that, right? Like, it just won't let me do that. So the way I bypass this is I basically ran another module, another API call, but this time I'm just calling the data, the actual data that I want, and that is I want the statistics, right? So it's these columns here. Basically, I want the views, I want the likes, and I want the comments. So generally, but not always, but for the most part, any video that has the most views will typically have the most likes and the most comments. And you can see that, right? Like, it's very proportional. This one has the most views. It also has the most likes and the most comments in my table here. And that's generally the way I do it, right? I will just sort it by the number of views, okay? So for this to run, right, we need a dynamic variable, which is the video ID. Okay, and that's why I basically extracted it from the iterator module. I've created a set variable, and then I'm using a dynamic URL for this, okay? And so when you run that, what you'll see is each video will have, it'll basically scrape for the right video, right? It'll get all the data for the correct video, okay? And you can see here, it's got the video ID, and then it's got the views count, it's got the likes, the favorites, and then and all that kind of stuff, right? You can see here, the second video, it will have its own video ID, right? And then it will have its own, where's it gone? Data. Yep, it will have its own views, likes, comments. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into the build. Let me just move this across. We're gonna call another HTTP module, make a request, and then we're just gonna paste this in here. Okay, and again, this is black because I haven't run this, but you kind of get the picture, right? And then your API key will stay the same. Nothing else you need to change here, okay? And then again, if I go back to the original, you'll see that I need to pass the JSON again, okay? Because remember, the output is always going to be JSON. If I show you that, if I go into data, you'll see this is all JSON, right? So for us to be able to manipulate that, we're going to pass it. So let's just get a JSON module. We're going to pass that, and then we're just going to grab the data from here, okay? And yeah, that's like 90% done. That's all it is. So just to recap, we're going to search for the videos based on our keywords. We're going to pass the JSON. We're going to, because the JSON is an array, we're going to iterate that. Then we need the video ID, right, from the past data, because we need a dynamic variable inside of this module here. Okay, and it hasn't seemed to have saved it, so let me just grab this again. So you can see here that we need a dynamic variable for the video ID because every video has a unique value, okay? So let me just save that. And we're gonna pass JSON, which is the data from here. And then the last module is gonna be Airtable. So we're gonna create a record, which is to save it onto Airtable, okay? So let me just create a record here. We're just gonna use Apify, sorry, not Apify, Airtable. Create record, and then just connect it up to your base, right? So mine is Automation Kings. The base is going to be, I think, YouTube or YT Research. So base is my name, the channel name, and the table is YT Research. And I'll show you exactly how to build the table as well in a sec, okay? And you've got all of these. These are the column headings that's pulled across, okay? And what you want is basically a table that looks like this. So the title is just long text or simple text. Let me just see which one it is. A single line text. Okay. Then you want the thumbnail image. Now this one is going to be an attachment, right? Because we're going to pull that, we're going to download it. We're going to get Airtable to actually download the thumbnail and save it onto here. So you can see here, right? I've actually got this guy's thumbnail here. Then you got a thumbnail URL, which is needed for the second part of the automation, where the AI will review it. You've got a channel URL if you want that. I mean, I put that in there, description, I put that in there, and obviously these three here, okay? Which is views, likes, and comments. And then the last thing the last two is date uploaded. So if you wanted to filter by the most recent, or you can do a script, or if you want to create a script, you can do all that. That's all very possible. Okay, and the one, if you're gonna use a create records, they're gonna need a last modified time, okay? And this is just for your own kind of indexing inside of Airtable, okay? So I'll show you how that's built in the original. So if I click inside of here, it's exactly the same. Now for the title, that's going to be the snippet title, okay? So this is all coming from the iterator, okay? The iterator module. So it's inside of snippet and then title. So anything that has a value against it, that's the one that you need to pull off, right? Some of these hasn't pulled it off, right? And that's fine. Right, it's because I'm not using the correct endpoint to get this information, right? The URL endpoint, and so that's fine. So everything that's populated here, it means that it's been pulled off from the API call, okay? Then for thumbnail, I've done the hi URL, so that's a snippet again. If you go to thumbnails, there is an endpoint for max res, right? But I haven't really done that, haven't looked into it, so I'm just gonna get the high one, and it's good enough, right? So you just wanna grab the URL there. And then for thumbnail URL, it's the same field. And then for channel, it's just going to be this URL here. But then you plug in the set variable, which is the video ID, okay? Because each video will have a unique ID, and it's this value here, okay? Then for description, you just want to grab the snippet description. So again, if you go into snippets, description here, and if you see that it's populated, then that's the one you want to grab, okay? Then for everything else, it's going to come off the second JSON module, okay? So This one is here, right? And you can see why I needed to pass it, right? Because I want all this information from the second module. So for views, if I click on this, expand this, go to statistics, there you can see there's a view count is populated. Okay, so plug view count in here. And the next one is likes. So you want to put the like, and then favorites, you probably can call it. I just need to find the right endpoint, but I haven't used it for this, and I think it's okay. Comments, I mean, for me, these three are the most important. Social proof, right? And view count is number one because that's what I sort the results by. Okay, and then the date uploaded is gonna be snippet from the iterator. So if I go back into here, snippet, and then you can see here, that's there. Okay, and that's it. That's basically all you need as a create record, and it will basically publish it to this table on Airtable. You can probably do this on Google Sheets as well. I mean, I use Airtable. I really like Airtable. So again, you just connect it up to the correct, so I would be this one here, and then you just connect to find the right base, which is the Automation Kings for me. And then the table is going to be Y2 Research. As long as it's mapped to the correct table, you're going to be fine. The final part of the automation uses a watch records inside of Airtable, and then we'll use an AI module. You can use any AI language model for this. I'm just using ChatGPT, and then again, the output can be exactly what you want it to be. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is bring up a new scenario, and let's just go to Airtable. And then we want the watch records module. Okay, so you want to connect it up to the correct table, which is the table and the base that we saved the data from the initial scrape. So for me, if you go back, it's the Automation Kings, and then just gonna wait for this to find it. It's YT Research for YouTube. Okay, and the trigger field has to be this one here. So if you go back into the original, it's the last modifier. So just make sure you've got that column there. And it's just like an indexing field that you need for this automation. Okay, so we're just going to select this one here. And then for the label field, I'm just going to leave it as title. And for everything else, you can leave it as you see in the original here. Right, so limit output 50 if you want to do 50, but I mean, it's up to you. I just left it at the default. Okay, so let's just save that, and then we're going to choose from now on. Okay, next bit is going to be the two modules for ChatGPT. Okay, so the first one is going to be vision. Okay, so if you haven't used vision, basically this can analyze images. Okay, and that's the reason why I saved the thumbnail image, right? Because I actually need the image itself, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get the analyze images vision module and just connect it up to your account there. So let me just do that quickly. Wait for that to connect, and then we just want a prompt. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the original. I'm gonna grab it here, and I'll talk you through that exactly how that works. Okay, so let me just go into the original automation here and grab the URL. So this one is this one here. So the prompt is just describe this thumbnail in detail, maximum 100 words. That's it. I mean, you can put whatever you want in here. Okay, and then for the actual image, we're gonna use the image URL. Okay, so the prompt, I'm just going to paste that in here, and then for images, we're going to use the image URL, and then we just want to grab the thumbnail URL column inside of Airtable. Okay, so that's this one here, and you just got to map the correct one. Okay, and then for the model, we're just going to select for a mini. I think it's fine. I think that's what I'm using for the original. Let me just double check. Yeah, I mean, for a mini is still fine. You know, it still gives you a great output. Okay, so in terms of tokens, I'm just gonna leave it as a default. You don't actually need that many tokens for this operation, so I'm gonna leave that as 2048. Okay, and that's it. So the first one is gonna be, we're gonna just call it grab data or whatever. Second one is gonna be, I'm gonna call it in this one, describe thumbnail. Okay, so let's just do that. Thumbnail. Okay, so that's the first two done, and then the last one for the OpenAI is just going to be a chat completion. Again, connect it up to your API account, and I'm just going to grab the prompt. Okay, so this one here, this is to create the viral hooks and all titles. Okay, it's the same thing. So for this, we're just going to use for a minute again. Okay, and this is how I've set this up. Okay, so the first role is always developer system, and this is just going to be a context. Okay, so if you follow me, you know that I pretty much set it up in the same way. So we're just going to use for a mini. If I can find it. Yep, this one here. So create a system developer once this connects, and then for this we're going to use the system, and this is just context. Okay, nothing more than that. The next one is going to be user, so let me just grab this, and it should be something along these lines. Okay, I mean, this is quite a big prompt, so I'll talk you through that. So this one is a user. Okay, and let me just paste that in here. So basically what this one is saying is that your task is to generate 3 potential YouTube video titles and 3 distinct thumbnail suggestions and a brief outline of the idea for the Automation Kings channel. Okay, so just amend this for whatever channel. If you want 10 YouTube ideas, if you want 5, just amend this for that. And then I've just specified again context. So my channel is AI and automation for trending topics and no-code strategies. So make.com and NA10, that's generally the kind of no-code platforms that I use. And if you follow this channel, you know that. And then I've given it some more ideas, some more context. I've also given it a title guideline, okay? Because some of these, I think it's 120 characters, something like that for the YouTube title, okay? So you definitely want to put that in there. And then just give it some context. I mean, this is quite a huge prompt, right? Like I spent a bit of time on this one. And there's a lot in there, okay? And I've also given examples. So let's just call this one create hook or title. And let's just put viral hook. Okay, so that's basically this one here, right? And for the suggestions, we just want to give it the title from the watch records and also the result from the description, okay? So at the bottom there, at the bottom of your prompt, you want to grab those 2 things because that's what we're going to use for the source, okay? The source of the data for the prompt. So it hasn't saved it, which is fine. Let me just go back in here. And then I'll skip the context because you get that, right? The system, you know what to do there. You don't need to spend too much time on the system. It's just literally like 1 or 2 lines. We're gonna paste that in here, and then we're gonna grab the title, which is this one here from our record in Airtable, okay? And then for the next part, we're gonna do this bit here, okay? So description of thumbnail. So I'm just gonna grab this, right? Because that's gonna be from this module here, okay? So let's put that in there. And this is black because I haven't run this module, but I think you get the picture there. And that's it. And then the last thing is optional. I mean, you can put whatever you want here, right? I've used Slack, so I'm just gonna connect it up to my Slack channel. But I mean, if you're doing this collaboratively, you can put this to Google Docs. You can email it to like a designer, like a thumbnail designer. There's lots of ways for you to do this, okay? So I'm just gonna create a Slack one, which is create a message, and then just connect it up to my channel. And then the Slack name is gonna be from a list, which is the YouTube research one. It's a private channel. This is just for me, so none of my team can see this. And it's gonna be this one here. And you can call this whatever you want, right? And then for the text, you just want the result, okay? So if we go back into the original, I'll show you how that looks. So if we go into here, I mean, this is how I've done it, right? So I've basically taken the title, the thumbnail URL, the result from the described thumbnail, and then the hook's title, I've taken it from the second one. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this and paste that into here. And yeah, that's it. That's basically it. So this is what the automation is gonna look like. So just to kind of recap, the first part is the scraper. Okay, so this is the scraper. This is going to grab the data, and it's all built on the actual keywords. Okay, so these are keywords here that you can basically configure to whatever you want. Okay, then it's gonna pull in the video ID, right? Because we need that for the second API call, which is a dynamic field here, because every video has a unique video ID, right? And then again, it's gonna pass a JSON, and lastly, it's gonna save everything onto this table on Airtable. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. Please like, subscribe, and comment below if there's anything you want to see. And I'll definitely see you on the next video. Have a great day.